Hi, I'm Christian Martirano with American Music and Sound and our great friends here at Full Compass. It's my privilege to show you Nord Stage 3. This is an evolutionary product with a lot of newer features I can't wait to show you. So let me first tell you about some of the improvements that have been made to the Nord Stage line. The Nord Stage 3 builds on its predecessor, the Nord Stage 2EX, and goes much further. First off, every single engine, the three engines, organ, piano, and also the synthesizer sample player section, have all been updated. The latest engine software from the Nord C2D is now found in the organ section. Also, they've added two pipe organ models that are beautiful, which you'll also listen to shortly. In the piano section, they've doubled the memory now from the original 1 gigabyte to 2 gigabytes using a lossless data compression scheme, so you can pack a lot of information in there. They've also doubled the polyphony from 60 voices now to 120 voices. What does this mean to you? It means you can go to Nord's site and download the best pianos, the best Fender Rhodes pianos, electric pianos, clavinets, and fill up this section now with just the best sounds that you possibly can get. When you move into the center section of the instrument, they've added a beautiful OLED display, and that OLED display gives us a lot of feedback about what's going on in the instrument on a global level and also individually as we adjust individual sections in the organ and the piano section. As we move over further to the right, we have a new synth section based on the great Nord A1 synthesizer technology. Those of you who have seen the Nord A1 know what a powerful synthesizer that is, and now they've brought that entire engine into the Nord Stage 3. Really great OLED display, shows you waveforms, shows you the configuration of different synthesis types you're using, and also many more of the controls now can be morphed in real time using Nord's morphing technology. Moving a little further even still to the right, the effects have also been updated. For example, in the delay section, they've added an analog model now of tape delay, where you can apply either a high pass, a low pass, or a band pass filter to the delay iterations. So each tap, as it delays in time, you can hear bottom end leaving, or you can hear the top end dying out. Or if you use band pass, you can actually hear the frequency being squeezed into the mid-range. Very, very cool stuff. They've also added resonant filters now to the master EQ section. So you have a 24 dB high pass or a low pass filter that you can use, and you can morph the frequency control, which is really awesome. So you can do sweeping frequencies of resonant filters now in the master effects section. They've also added now the ability to separately assign reverbs to the A or B panels in the instrument. So if I'm setting up an A panel, for example, with a piano and maybe a string layer, I can put it into a hall space. Maybe then I want to set up my B panel, and I might want an organ on that, and I don't want any reverb, or maybe I want a small stage setting. I can then assign that. And this is all remembered in the configurations. Then some of the overall improvements they've made to the operation, a lot more streamlined workflow improvements. For example, there are now list modes for each of the sections, allowing me to see exactly what's in the instrument at one time. For example, if I'm in the piano engine, I can see all the pianos that are loaded in a list. Same for the synthesizer. I can see, based on which synth model I've selected, which patches are loaded in. This is really helpful when I'm trying to build a configuration and I need to see what I have in the instrument. Remember, the user can download what they want and configure this instrument as they want. So, for example, in the sample player synthesizer section, they have an enormous library that's free, of course, to anyone who owns the Nord Stage 3. They can download any of those samples, whether they be analog synthesizers or whether they be acoustic instruments or other types of sound effects. In fact, you can even put your own samples in here using their sample editor. The Nord Stage 3 comes in 3 different keyboard lengths. You have the 88-note fully hammer-weighted action, you have a 76-note HP hammer-weighted action, and then you have a 73-note that uses a waterfall keyboard found on most organs. This gives you a choice out of what you're looking for in terms of touch. The nice thing about the 73 model is instead of using their light tree mechanism as drawbars, there are actually physical drawbars. So those are some of the great improvements made to the Nord Stage line. So let's have a look at the pipe organs. I'm going to start with pipe organ 1. The drawbar mechanisms are now used to select stops. So as I touch them, I can increase the stop, and they're labeled above nicely: bass, strings, flutes, things that you would find on a pipe organ. So here's one of the simple presets that I made. Now, if I wanted to in real time, I could be adjusting stops, or I actually have a second preset button. If I press that, for example, I might want full ranks. So as I'm performing, I can change the ranks just as a simple touch of a button, or I can be changing the stops in real time. So I'll just do a little improvisation and play with that a little bit. The beauty of the Nord morphing system is I can actually move between the stops I'm playing with the very fluty sound to full stops with a CC pedal. To do that's very simple. I just double button press the CC pedal button under the morph assignment, and then I tell all the ranks to pull out. I select that, and now as I'm playing, as I move my CC pedal, I'm changing my stops in real time. So we'll hear that. This lets me keep my hands on the keyboard, and it's a really nice feature. Let's listen to pipe organ 2. You'll notice that it has a little bit more high end to it, and the characteristic is slightly different. I like to combine these models with the sample section using a cathedral organ. So as I actually, in this case, I'm going to show you, I've used the pipe organ as a model, and then I'm bringing in a sample of a large rank cathedral organ using a CC pedal. Again, you can see the power in the instrument if you're using it in a house of worship or a liturgical setting. Let's move into the piano section where there have been many improvements. For example, they've now added 3 bands of EQ to the piano section, allowing me to essentially EQ my pianos without using my master EQ section. This is great as I can reserve my master EQ for other things that I might want to use it for. There's 3 settings. You have soft, mid, and bright. And they boost low frequencies for soft, mids boost the mids, and highs boost the high frequencies. Let's listen to one of the pianos, which I love. This was recorded with a dummy head with microphones in the hearing position. So the piano actually, as you're listening to it now, is what the player heard when they were recording it. This is the piano by itself, and then I'm going to show you some of the EQ settings, what they do. This is a beautiful piano. I'm going to add now a boost to the top end, and you'll hear a lot more crispness on the high end of this instrument. If I boost the mids, you'll hear a bump in the mid section. So you can make many different characters out of the same piano using just the EQ now found in the piano section. They also added a category called digital. Now beyond the electric pianos and clavinets and acoustic piano, upright piano, digital gives us some of the sounds of the electric grand and also some FM piano sounds. I'll just play a handful of them. Again, these are the stock programs loaded in from the factory. There are larger versions you can download that have even more detail, and I haven't applied any effects to them, so you're hearing them exactly as they are. I'm going to skip to the layer category now that has also been added. Layer allows me now to detune and to add smaller models of the piano. So I have these piano models that are much smaller, that are perfect for layering behind synthesizer pads or behind organs. And by layering, I can use these sounds very effectively. For example, here is a synth pad I've just made, and I'm going to layer this piano behind it. And it's a very small piano called a piano layer. Here's without the layer turned on. Layer back on. Also, on previous models of the stage, if I had layered two pianos, it was impossible for me to detune them. Now they have a special detune, layer detune function that allows me to layer two pianos and then detune them. I'll just show a quick example of that. So these are two pianos. I'm using a Lady D 9-foot concert grand and that 3D piano together layered. When you play them together, there's a little phase cancellation. You don't really hear much motion between them. And I haven't applied chorus or any effect, but just using the detune, I can get a nice kind of a chorusing effect. There's 3 different levels of detuning, from slightly detuned to very detuned. The third being used, I guess, for a saloon kind of piano sound, especially if you're layering 2 uprights. Thank you again for watching. I'm Chris Martirano with American Music and Sound. If you need more information on the Nord Stage 3, make sure you go to fullcompass.com or contact your sales professional.